This isn't just a Second Amendment issue, it's not just a firearms issue, it's an issue of an overreaching government that wants to come into your kitchen, that wants to come into your living room and just see what you're doing.
Hi, I'm Tracy Oppenheimer for Reason TV. I'm here with Dimitri Karas. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Aris Armor in Oceanside, California, which recently got raided by the ATF. Dimitri, thank you for talking to us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Give us the play-by-play of the raid. How did they threaten your business?
Well, what happened was last week, they actually approached us through our legal counsel and they requested that we turn over a product that was that they had determined to be a firearm. And they had also requested that we turn over a list of customers to them. The penalty for not doing so, as it was explained to me through our legal counsel, was that they would execute a search warrant against all of our buildings, take all of our files, take everything, and make life very difficult. So we went to the court system and we asked them for a restraining order to be placed against the ATF until this situation could be figured out. We were granted a temporary restraining order. That temporary restraining order was then later clarified to include the language that it did not prohibit them from conducting lawful criminal investigations. The very next day, they executed a search warrant against all of our buildings, and they proved me right. I went to the court system and I said, hey, I'm being threatened, this is wrong, these are not firearms, please, let's handle this the right way in court, and let's work this issue out. And the response was, well, we're just gonna come in and actually make good on those threats that we made towards you.
What did they end up taking?
They took our computer systems, they took the product that was in question, a myriad of paperwork and other items here and there.
And talk about the parts in general. They're AR-15 lowers, they're plastic, they're easier to produce, and their problem
Absolutely.
is that the serial number isn't there. Why do you think that these parts should be freely sold?
What they've said in the past is in regards to the AR-15 80% receivers, which are not firearms, is that it's an object that's in the shape of a receiver, but it hasn't been completed to a point that it would be considered to be a firearm, is that there's 5 operations that need to be left uncompleted that would have to be completed by the consumer in order for it to be sold in that stage. And the only real material difference is the material itself. Instead of being out of metal, it's out of polymer.
Right, and that brings up an interesting point. I mean, it is legal for people to assemble these on their own, and it's also interesting because these parts, I mean, people can print them at home with a 3D printer now. I don't understand why they're targeting your store. This was
a nice way for them to get their arm inside of our business and grab the information that they're actually looking for. To think that this is over a piece of plastic is ludicrous. It's ludicrous. This situation was already handled in the courts. There's no need for a raid to happen. I had literally had a meeting with 2 of the ATF agents after we'd had the temporary restraining order granted to us. I took them into the building where the polymer lowers were being housed, where we had separated them from the rest of our inventory, and we placed them in a separate room under lock and key. I offered to hand the key to this room, the only keys in existence to this room, to the ATF agents that were there so that they would be 100% assured that we did want this handled in the court system and that we weren't trying to pull anything underhanded and divest ourselves of the product or do anything like that. There was also a camera pointed directly at this door, and I offered the ATF if they would like to have access so they could view this camera remotely. They turned me down on that as well.
Do you feel like that you've been singled out, or this is more of a widespread issue on a war on gun ownership?
I was offered an under-the-table deal. The only reason that this has any attention to it is because I said no. I said, no, I'm not going to give you a customer list. I'm not going to give you this. This is wrong. What you're doing is wrong. Let's handle this in the court system. I can only imagine how many times business owners are approached by the government and these deals are taken and accepted. The only difference in this case is that we said no and we stood up.
And they say, it's for security reasons, but you say, privacy is more important than these alleged security concerns, whether or not they're legitimate.
As our founding fathers have said, giving up liberty in exchange for a false pretense of security. The way that we are founded and how far we've gone from our original intention, it's unbelievable. The fact that they use Gestapo-style tactics against honest, hardworking people, the fact that they invade our lives on every possible level, and they just get away with it. They continue on to do this.
Other than privacy, what other issues are at stake here?
They have trampled on the entire Bill of Rights. And again, the question of privacy versus security, I would make this argument. An armed society is a civil society. So the more armed our society is, the more civil it will be, and that's my opinion again. But this isn't just a Second Amendment issue. It's not just a firearms issue. It's an issue of an overreaching government that wants to come into your kitchen, that wants to come into your living room and just see what you're doing, just poke around in there. And it's none of their business what you're doing.
In California specifically, I mean, we have a lot of excessive gun legislation. Can you talk about what it's like to own a gun shop here?
I get asked a lot of times from other people in the industry, why would you operate inside of the firearms industry in California? That doesn't make any sense. This is my home. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not getting pushed out by somebody who's got an agenda that is contrary to what my rights are. And every time somebody from the firearms community leaves California because of the oppression that's going on here, what you're saying is that, well, we're losing one more vote. We're losing one more vote in that fight every time that happens, and the opposition just gets stronger and stronger and stronger.
Well, thank you again, Dimitri.
Absolutely, thank you.
For Reason TV, I'm Tracy Oppenheimer.